Ladies and gentlemen, Psalms 34, 12 to 14 says, "What man is he that desires life and loves many days that he may see good? If you are that man, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking guile. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." This, as it says here, is a review, spoiler-filled review of Thor Ragnarok. And let me just say straight off the bat, I don't like these kinds of movies. This is why I don't go watch comic book movies. Alright? These are not my kinds of movies. So straight off the bat, I want to say that. And let me give you the reasons for that before I get into some positive things, because I want to seek peace. I don't want to seek war. Alright? So, first of all, when I think of the character Thor, let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. When I think of Thor, I want you to get a visual image of what Thor looks like to me. So, to me, when I see Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, I think of Chris Hemsworth playing Thor. I don't think of Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Why? This is what I think of when I think of Thor. When I think of Thor, the god of thunder, this is what I think of. Okay? For you to understand, Thor is a Norse or a Nordic god. Okay? Odin is a Nordic god. As such, Nordic lore and Nordic legend has to be a part of what I see when I look at Thor. And for me, Chris Hemsworth doesn't embody that Nordic legend of Thor for me. When I think, for instance, of Conan the Barbarian, I think of barbarian lore. A lore very similar to the Nordic lore, to the Viking lore. That's what I see. So that I always thought that Arnold Schwarzenegger embodied Conan the Barbarian. The barbarian lore that's associated with that. Born a gladiator, fighting as a warrior in a bloody and brutal world. When I think of 300, I think of the embodiment of Greek lore, Greek warriors, Greek gladiators. The movie Gladiator embodies gladiator lore of the Roman era. Red Sonja encapsulates the barbarian lore and the lore of the female warrior. So when I look at the comics of Conan the Barbarian, this is what I see in the comics. I see an encapsulation of this barbarian lore coming to the screen, the ancient coming to the present in a comic. This is what I see when I see Thor, the god of thunder, or Odin. And that's how it is in the comics. When you look at the comics of these characters, that's what you get. What I get with Marvel's Thor, any of his Thor movies actually, is a dumbed down, soft core version of Thor, the god of thunder. Chris Hemsworth has always come across to me as Chris Hemsworth playing Thor and not Thor. Now, I like how they put Thor in different situations, but I never felt that he was the Thor of the comics. I always thought of it as Chris Hemsworth's version of Thor, and this is no different for Thor Ragnarok. When I think of the Incredible Hulk, I think of Berserker rage. I think of a living, boiling pot of rage. And quite frankly, no holds barred back, the Hulk has killed people. The Hulk has murdered people. He's also done things good, but he's killed people. So when I think of the Hulk here in Planet Hulk, where the Hulk is actually crying because this woman is deceased and he loved her, and when I see the Hulk from Planet Hulk, he's always in berserker rage. He talks, but he's in rage. He's always rageful. That's what fuels the Hulk. So when I saw the Hulk, the CGI character, in Thor Ragnarok, it turned me off. Because as much as they were trying to emulate that rage of the Hulk, there was never, in my mind, danger. Even though they spoke about him killing people in the gladiator matchups, because I never saw it, it never appealed to me. This Hulk in Thor Ragnarok reminds me a lot of Men in Black characters. In the plasticity of the movement, how he would slam things, Hulk smash and slam things, remind me of that, which takes me out of the realism and the potential danger of the Hulk. The thing that makes the Hulk, is that he's extremely dangerous, unpredictable, and his rage is such a fuel to him that he can be used as a tool to destroy just about anything. Once he is angry, he is indestructible. So, this is the Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. And this is Berserker Hulk. This is when Hulk is going nuts. This scares me. This does not. Okay? So that's what I mean by they never capture the Hulk. They've been trying to capture the Hulk, but they haven't. And so the other factors, so that's the core of these characters, I don't believe have been embodied. I think Mark Ruffalo has captured an aspect of the Hulk, which is good, but because the Hulk is still not dangerous in my eyes, I don't believe the danger I'm seeing with the Hulk. Even though he throws things and he could kill people and stuff, I don't feel that danger in him. I don't feel that unpredictableness about him. I don't feel that the Hulk. I don't ever think of the Hulk sharing a room with anyone. Because the Hulk, if it's Bruce Banner or David Banner, it's another story. But the Hulk himself, he won't share a room with somebody. Unless it's a woman or somebody he loves, in which case he will change back into Bruce Banner after he calms down. Because the Hulk can only stay the Hulk for such a certain time. He can only stay permanently the Hulk and not Bruce Banner ever again as he grows stronger. And that must be fueled by rage. So that's just my take on the Hulk. And that's why I always feel like Marvel has not gotten the Hulk yet. They're getting there, though. They're getting there. In this movie, Thor Ragnarok, I thought that there were aspects of the Hulk which I thought was wonderful. Okay? Don't get me wrong. As much as this is not my kind of movie, I am someone who's able to point out to you and show you whether this is a good movie or not, and also show you aspects of the movie that I thought were just really awesome. Okay? So don't get it twisted. Just because I didn't like the movie doesn't mean that you shouldn't like the movie, because as you can clearly see, Thor Ragnarok is at $660 million at the box office. This is his second weekend. Coming out of that, it's doing fantastically well, which means it resonates with a lot of people. So my opinion about the movie is because I generally tend not to like these kinds of movies anyway. Okay? I didn't like comic book movies for a long time because, and I wasn't really interested in them because I just don't like those kinds of movies. Alright? Now let me explain to you what I mean so that you don't get bent up in a knot if you liked Thor Ragnarok and I didn't. Okay? I am more of a realist. This movie is not about realism. This movie is completely about fantasy. So, a fantasy film movie where realistic things do not happen. And what I mean by realistic things, like people don't get killed when they should get killed for certain things, or badly hurt, or at least injured. That's not really happening. That's a problem. When movement is not really following the laws of physics, at least vaguely following the laws of physics. You don't even have to follow the laws of physics, just vaguely follow it. That's a problem. So when characters become more cartoony than they are real. You remember, this is live action. This is not an animated film. So there's a difference between animation and live action. And I expect, when I'm looking at live action, to see live action. I pardon Guardians of the Galaxy because it is what it is. I think it is the most Marvel of Marvel films, because this is what Marvel goes for. Guardians of the Galaxy was going for humor, wild, over-the-edge humor, and it got me. When I saw Baby Groot dancing and he didn't give a flying fart about anything, he was just into the music, and they focused on him instead of the action, I thought, you got me. You got me, because you got me laughing. You got me laughing hard, okay? So I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2 did its job for what it was supposed to do. This movie, on the other hand, did not do its job with me. I was not laughing at all. I didn't even laugh. I chuckled 3 times in this movie. And I'll give you the 3 incidents so you will know. The first incident was when Thor had been captured by Valkyrie. He was being processed and he was about to see the Grand Master. And there was this voice inside of his head, because there's this chip on the side, priming him up to see the Grand Master. And it's saying, get ready to see the great Grand Master. 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 And the music's going like a real pumped up music. And Thor wakes up from it and he's running through this tunnel thingy. He's being moved through this tunnel thingy. And it says, get ready to see the great... And Thor says, what the hell? That was funny. That was funny. The next one is usual sort of self-deprecating humor, but I thought it was funny. That's where Thor, he's about to escape. He's talking to Valkyrie, and he's about to go on his way because he's outsmarted her and he's gotten the device that she was using to shock him with. And he takes this red ball and he throws it against the wall to break the glass, to jump through the window, and it bounces back and hits him and he falls down. That was funny. That's comedic timing. And again, it's situational humor than it is more dialogue humor. This movie was full of dialogue humor, not even slapstick humor, dialogue humor. And most of it, for the most part, with me, fell flat. I was rolling my eyes most of the time or just ignoring it. And the last one I thought was funny. I don't know if everybody else was seeing it as funny, but I thought it was funny. Was when Tom Hiddleston's character, he comes and lands the ship because he tells the guys from Planet Hulk, the Rock guy played by Waititi. He tells them, I will be your leader. And they're like, sure, cool. And so he's, Loki, that's the name. Loki, he loves being the leader. He loves feeling great. And he's full of himself. So when Loki lands, perfect timing, by the way, to save the people so they can go up on the ship, he says, behold your savior. And he puts his head up in the air and he pulls out his hands. The stakes at that time were pretty important in the movie, so you may not laugh, but it's funny as hell when you think about it. The dude's so full of himself, and he's so happy that he's actually doing something. He's not able to get into he's so full of himself. It is funny. And I had to crack a smile. I had to chuckle on that. So those are the 3 moments in the movie that worked for me. They did work for me. They were funny moments. But the rest of the jokes and the rest of the stuff that happened in the movie, like I said before, as I began, I felt like we had Hollywood actors playing characters more than embodying the characters. Now, one person who definitely embodied his character, and I actually felt tension whenever his character had to do something, was Idris Elba. Idris Elba did an excellent job of portraying that tension when Hela is coming to collect her sword and knows where their hideout is. And Idris Elba in stealing the sword to prevent the gatekeeping from opening so Hela could get to other worlds and govern and dominate them. I thought he did an excellent job in the movie, and his presence it was felt in the movie even when he was not on screen. And I thought that it was excellent because he really made the stakes real. He acted very, very well. And whatever character that is, Idris Elba became that character. I can't say that for Chris Hemsworth. I don't feel like he's Thor. I feel like he is playing his version of Thor. But I never feel like Chris Hemsworth is this guy. I never ever feel it. And it's because of the softcore nature, the funny nature of this movie, or the softcore nature of the movie, period, that they do not allow bloodshed. They do not allow death. They do not allow nudity. They do not allow the rawness of a Viking or a barbarian or a Norse god. They don't do that, so you don't feel. You feel like this is a Disney flick. You feel like it's a family flick. You feel like these superheroes are things to laugh at and with. But you don't feel like these are gods. You don't feel that in this movie. And that's a problem for me. Because I always say, if you're going to do a superhero movie for me, it has to feel serious. It has to feel, I have to feel some kind of depth. And these characters, to me, are too shallow. So that you guys get to understand. So I feel like Mark Ruffalo is not playing Bruce Banner. I feel like Mark Ruffalo is playing Mark Ruffalo. However, I thought he did a very good job playing the Hulk. I do not believe Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk, but when I see the CGI character of the Hulk on the screen, I feel that is the Hulk. I literally feel it's the Hulk, which is good. I don't feel it's a great Hulk, like yes, this is the Hulk I see in my mind. I don't feel like that, but I do feel like it is the Hulk I'm watching at. Definitely. All right? Strangely, the Hulk feels more like a Norse god than does Chris Hemsworth's Thor. One of the ironies of the situation. I think Chris Hemsworth has the voice. I think Chris Hemsworth has a certain aura about him. Heroic aura and a likability to him. But I do not feel he is Thor, the God of Thunder. I do not feel that. Even when he changes and he's able to use his full potential as the God of Thunder, I still don't feel he's the God of Thunder. I love Tom Hiddleston's Loki. He has no allegiance to anyone. He's the God of mischief, and he really does behave like the God of mischief because causes a lot of problems for everybody all the time. But at the same time, I must say, I don't know much about Loki. I've never looked into that character, so I don't know if it's Tom Hiddleston playing his version of Loki, or if that is Loki. But, very likable character. The actor playing the Grand Master is playing himself, so I don't feel like that's the Grand Master. I don't know what the Grand Master is. I just know that this guy's playing himself. And when it comes to Cate Blanchett's Hela, I feel like it's a Cate Blanchett version of Hela. I don't know what Hela is, but from when I look at Hela, Hela has to be a hell of a lot more serious than she is. I don't feel that with Cate Blanchett. I feel it's a Hollywood actress trying to be tough, playing a character. Lovely fight choreography, but I don't buy that's the character Hela from the comics or from Norse mythology. And Valkyrie, same thing. Valkyrie, the actresses don't sell me that they are fierce warriors. What they sell me is that they are Hollywood actors playing fierce warriors. I don't feel like they are trained. As Gal Gadot would say, she says, you can't act strong. You have to be strong to play the role. And I get that these guys, like, they feel like they come off the parking lot and they learn a little bit of fight choreography, and they're there just to act as characters. But they sell us short as embodying the characters. Good acting as a character to spoof it, but not an embodiment of it. So that's what I get. The plot is pretty good. It's an okay plot. And the story is pretty good. But again, the tension that the story needs to have, it doesn't have. It's tensionless. Because it's a comedy. And the stakes get high at a certain point coming down to the end of the movie. But because there's lack of tension, only when Idris Elba is there tension. And that's taken away very quickly as Hela meets up with Thor. And so the tension that you would want to have in the movie, it stays for a minute and then it's gone. I'll give you an example. Batman v Superman had tension all the way up to the fight scene. And even then you thought Batman was going to kill him. Here, when Hela pulls out Thor's eye, you're like, okay, he loses an eye. I don't feel invested in the fact that he just lost an eye. So the other thing about this world, like I said, is it's fully fantasy. So the set pieces of this world are fantastical. They're fantasy. They have no realism to them at all. The physics, nothing about it is realistic. And so, because the stakes, there's not really much stakes in this movie. Okay, Hela kills the guards that guard Asgard. Okay, cool. And pulls in one of them who, and he turns against her and she eventually kills him. But she never really kills a principal character. She never really hurts anyone. And she had the opportunity to. She could have killed the woman that was there, or had the other guy kill the woman, or had the other guy try to, if he didn't want to kill the woman, she would kill him. That moment wasn't allowed to crystallize. She had another moment where she could have killed a number of other people. Particularly, she could have killed, I believe it was either Thor, because she had him there. She could have killed him. She didn't. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Hela is a softcore villain. She's softcore. People praising Cate Blanchett for what she's doing because she's a woman, of course, and she's an Oscar winner, but she does not embody the character like Ben Affleck embodies Batman, and you can't see anybody else's Batman. She does not embody the character like how Gal Gadot embodies Wonder Woman, and you say that is Wonder Woman there. You're not going to say that's Hela there. No, you're not going to say that. You're going to say it's Cate Blanchett playing Hela. You're not going to say that's Valkyrie. No, you're going to say that's actor playing Valkyrie. You're not going to say that's Thor there. You're going to say that's Chris Hemsworth playing Thor. You might say that's the Hulk there, though, because Mark Ruffalo did a great job of embodying the Hulk. Not the way how I see the Hulk, but nonetheless, he did it. There still wasn't the fear factor of the Hulk. The Hulk is something that's feared, but yet he's misunderstood. You don't get that. But he does throw a tantrum or two, so it's okay. Tom Hiddleston, I don't know if he's Loki or not, but he's a likable character, and I like that he has some complexity to him. And this is the nice part of the movie I like. I like the complexity of Loki. Loki, he's mischievous, but he's not necessarily evil. He's not necessarily good. Loki plays up to whatever best will give Loki his attention. Loki wants to be great. He wants to do something great. So in the beginning of the movie, Loki has banished his father to hell and banished Idris Elba's character to hell. But Loki himself is not trying to destroy the people of Asgard. He's ruling the people of Asgard as his father. And he's doing a play on himself. He's all about himself. But at the end of the day, Loki's not really trying to be a bad person. Loki's trying to be good. But his nature keeps him from doing that. He either makes tremendous mistakes or he ends up doing things for his self-interest, and he has no allegiances. So I like Loki. Tom Hiddleston's character is likable. It's soft-core, but likable. Okay? And it's just not trustworthy at all. But he comes through, the things that make this movie good are the redemptive qualities of heroes. We see the redemption of Valkyrie. We see the redemption of Loki. We see the redemption of Bruce Banner, where Bruce Banner changes into the Hulk with the stakes being that he may never be Bruce Banner again to save people. We see the right-hand guy of Hela, who becomes the right-hand guy. He changes allegiance at the drop of a dime. Finally get conviction because he wants to be great. And he changes his allegiance for the last time towards Asgard to protect Asgard using the machine guns. I found all of these redemptive qualities wonderful in the movie, even though they are typically, stereotypically Hollywood. For me, this is a forgettable film. Because it has a little layer to it, because let me tell you the good things about this movie. The layer of the movie that I like is that this movie covers some background on Thor. This movie is all about Thor and his development, but it gives some background behind Thor through using Hela as the device tool. She's the typical villain that wants to take over many, many worlds. It's not just the world anymore. This is not an Earth-related movie. This is about Asgard. But she wants to take over more worlds. And the nice thing about it is we find out that Odin was actually like that. And then he changed, and he wanted to be a much better leader. And he wanted to have more peace. And Hela wanted to continue, taking over worlds, which follows some of Norse lore. But in the end, what happens is that Hela gets banished. And Valkyrie was supposed to stop her and get her destroyed, but eventually Odin had to use his powers to do that. And Valkyrie ends up being defeated by Hela. All right, and so that's how she ends up in Sakaria. And Sakaria is like this metaphysical dump where anything that kind of goes off course in the universe ends up there. So I found that in terms of the story, and let me just tell you a little bit about the story, that Thor ends up in Sakaria because he's fighting Hela. They open this gate thing to get back to Asgard because they confront Hela, because Hela actually comes out after Odin dies. Odin dies and he passes into this kind of dust thing. He goes on to the next state. And Thor and Loki fight Hela. Hela's very powerful. She destroys Thor's hammer. And because of that, Thor and Loki try to run away back to Asgard, and Hela chases them down through that portal. And she defeats Loki, pushing him out of this portal thingy that's going up. And so, same thing with Thor. And they end up in Sakaria. And Thor ends up facing the Hulk, basically, after he meets the Grandmaster. And because they basically fight to a draw sort of thing. And Thor kind of finds out about his powers, of his thunderous powers, his powers of thunder, which is really lightning. It's not thunder, really. Thunder is the sound, right? But anyway, the point is, he gets hints of that, and eventually he finds out from his father, who is dead. He can communicate with his father, and he can communicate with Eldritch Albert's character. He can kind of telepath. And because of that, he's able to harness his full potential, his full powers. Valkyrie is a drunk kind of person. She's kind of recluse. She's moved away, not trying to embrace her destiny. And Thor is able to encourage her to embrace her destiny because he's so bent on embracing his and defending Asgard. And Loki, Thor has a conversation with Loki where he's saying, you belong here on Sakaria because, this is your kind of world, criminal kind of world where you can do anything. And Loki chooses to want to go back to Asgard with him. But before that, Loki's kind of doing all these twists, and he's being a betrayer, and all of these kinds of things are going on. But in the end, Loki ends up back at Asgard, facing Hela and saving the people. As I said, behold your savior. Hela, in the meantime, she's gone back to Asgard, and she's trying to take over things and make things what they were before, and she's trying to go and conquer other worlds. But to do that, she needs a sword, the MacGuffin, which will allow her to go to different universes and dominate, which is what she wants to do. She wants to overtake. And she's the goddess of death as well. And even though she doesn't really kill a lot of people, it's kind of weird. She kills a lot of soldiers, but she didn't kill the rest of the people of Asgard. She said, bow before me. She's kind of like a kneel before Zod kind of character. Kind of straightforward. But through her story, we get the history of Asgard before Odin decided to just kind of keep it to Nile realms. So she breaks free, and she breaks free all of the other former colleagues she had that she used to fight with. It's a wolf, a big wolf, and some kind of orc-like footmen. And she can't get the sword, so that's where the sword was stolen by Eldritch Alba's character, and he's hiding the people of Asgard to protect them, whoever he can hide. And so Thor comes back to Asgard with Valkyrie, who has now embraced her destiny, and not the Hulk, but Bruce Banner. The Hulk changes back to Bruce Banner because he sees, I forgot what her name is, from the Avengers, Black Widow. And he calms down, and that changes him back. You see, the Hulk, he's always brewing with rage, and because he brews with rage, that's why he stays the Hulk. And Bruce Banner voluntarily becomes the Hulk to defend the people, and basically Thor confronts Hela, and he's fighting Hela, and Hela's of course a lot stronger than him, even though he's able to use the lightning he has to fight her. And she digs out his eye, and she feels like she's winning the battle, but she's not, because when the people are surrounded, as Eldritch Alba is trying to lead them to the gate to get them out of there, they're surrounded by troops from Hela's troops. But then, of course, as I said before, the other members of Thor, the Hulk, and all of those guys, and Valkyrie, they fight the troops, and then in comes Loki and his troops, and they're able to fight them off and win the day and save the day. But not before Asgard gets completely destroyed because they're abandoning Asgard. So I thought this story was going to have a lot of death and a lot of people dying. That didn't happen. All right, I thought the Asgardians were going to be destroyed. That didn't happen. So at the end of the day, the Asgardians were saved. What I liked about the movie, though, was that Odin was talking about Asgard not being a physical place. So while the set pieces in the movie were very fantasy-like, not realistic in any way, shape, or form, very kaleidoscopic, and the focus was not on the set pieces. The nice thing was the focus was on a mindset, what Asgard really was. So you had Asgard, you had Sakaria. Those were basically the two set pieces of the movie. And for the most part, they were CG with green screen. And a lot of these characters were standing around talking to one another for the most part, which is annoying as hell to me. I don't like just characters standing around talking. It happened in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It happened in Doctor Strange. Even though Doctor Strange had more special effects involved in it. Ant-Man, not so much. Didn't have a lot of standing around talking, which was really good. But I don't like this standing around talking things, and you have all this green screen behind you. It's ridiculous. And even the rooms, I guess it's just it's fantasy. So but my point is anyway that at the end of the day, you know, people talk about DCEU CG being bad, and I can't get, for the life of me, I can't get what they mean, because to me, my personal opinion, Marvel CG is atrocious. If DCEU CG, because I get immersed in DCEU worlds. Yes, it's film, so it's going to look grainy. It's film. It's not digital, you know. And the camera angles are ridiculous when you watch a DCEU film. Wonderful camera angles and wonderful shots. Whereas you get just a standard camera angle, standard shots, lame CG, lame special effects. But I look beyond all those things, and I'm looking at the story, you know, because I know, okay, you're going to use CG, you're going to use special effects. You know what I mean? Hela's headgear is CG. And so what? I mean, that's part of the character, right? I don't get carried away with that. So my point anyway is, yes, they do digital things so everything kind of looks clearer and that's not as grainy as a film. I like film, quite frankly. I like this graininess right here. See all this graininess stuff? This is an effect. This is film effect. So I like that. But I also noticed the circles here, kind of like with Wonder Woman. So I don't know if they borrowed those ideas or they had similar ideas. They were overlapping. But I saw some Wonder Woman motifs over and over, like, you know, Thor's powers. You know, that he thought his powers were in his hammer when it was just a projection of his powers. Like, you know, Wonder Woman's powers being, she thought it was in the sword, being the God Killer. She was the God Killer, and she had the powers and stuff like that. And Hela being the daughter of Odin, whereas Ares was the son of Zeus. You know, I'm just saying cast out, you know, that kind of thing. But I would just like to say that at the end of the day, too softcore for me. Too much jokes that just didn't land for me. This movie was basically based on its humor, and if the humor falls flat, you're in trouble. This film is not going to be likable. It's not going to be fun. I had people saying it's a lot of fun. I'm just hoping Justice League is nothing like this. Because if Justice League is anything like this, God, man, I'm done with the DCEU. I'm just telling you. This is... You got to understand, I'm a big grown-ass man. All right? Kiddie flicks and stuff with kids and cotton candy kind of movies are not my thing. It's value. So if Justice League is a bunch of crap, believe you me, I'm not watching it again. All right? It's forgettable. Suicide Squad is forgettable. This movie is forgettable. Captain America Civil War, forgettable. Doctor Strange, forgettable. Okay? Winter Soldier, much more grounded film. But I don't remember it. I just remember that there was the Winter Soldier and Captain America, Black Widow, and Samuel L. Jackson's character. I did say the specifics, Falcon as well. But to say the specifics of the movie, no. Captain America, the First Avenger, I can tell you everything about it. I remember it like yesterday. I think it's still the best Marvel film there is out there. Captain America, the First Avenger reminds me a lot of Wonder Woman to some degree. But Wonder Woman is a better movie than it, with much more impact. But Suicide Squad is on the level of Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. I think Winter Soldier is a better movie, though. Definitely a better movie than... it's a better movie than Suicide Squad. But Captain America Civil War, definitely on the same level as Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, to me, is a better film than Thor Ragnarok. This is my opinion. My opinion, I'm not saying. Okay, so you want to know if it's a good film. And if you would want to go see it. If you like conversational humor. If you like a lot of not exposition, but a lot of talking. You like characters that talk a lot. Not necessarily, just a lot of conversation, banter. You're going to like this movie. Okay? It depends on what kind of person you are, what kind of personality type you are. You're going to enjoy this movie. If you're a huge Hulk fan, you're going to like this movie. If you like Loki, if you really like Loki, if you're a real Loki fan, and you like the dynamics of Loki, you'll like this movie. So, if you like conversational humor, smart alecky kind of conversational humor, if you like the Hulk, if you like Loki, if you like all the Thor movies, you're gonna like this movie. If you're not somebody who's into comic book movies and you like realism and you're more of a science buff than you are a fantasy kind of person, you're not really into Lord of the Rings, or you're not really into fantasy films, you're not gonna like this movie. It's just what it is. The bulk of people who like this movie, they're Marvel fans. They like Marvel. It doesn't keep, as I said before, and I repeat, Thor Ragnarok does not keep it's not in keeping with the Marvel comics of Thor. It's not in keeping with that. It's gone a totally different direction. All right? Thor is a gladiator. Thor is a warrior. Thor bloodbaths. Thor fights. He battles. He's a beast. Odin's a beast. Okay? When you think Conan the Barbarian, you think Thor. Okay? That kind of level of storytelling is what you talk. When you talk Thor, that's what I think of when I think of Thor. Okay? As a superhero, Thor is a badass. He's a badass. Okay? Very powerful badass. So, that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get a softer, dumbed down Thor who's facing some very powerful people, don't get me wrong, but a dumbed down Thor who is he's kind of developing now, finding himself a little bit more. So he's constantly developing and finding himself. That's the Thor you're looking at. And it's played by Chris Hemsworth, who plays his version of Thor. Alright? So that's basically what you're getting. When you look at the Hulk, you're not going to get Berserker Hulk. You're not going to get Hulk that gets angrier and angrier and angrier, and he's fueled by rage, and that's what keeps him being the Hulk. You're not going to get that. But you will get a version of Hulk that is definitely an embodiment of him. And he has conversation, but he's still about fighting. He still has rage. But when you're talking about the Hulk, he's still not. He's not the Hulk that I know. That the Hulk I like. Okay, but if you're a fan of the Hulk, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this movie. This is the best representation of the Hulk so far that Marvel has done. And kudos to Mark Ruffalo in pulling that off, because that's a totally different dimension of Mark Ruffalo I've never seen before. Mark Ruffalo is generally Mark Ruffalo, but this version is, feels like the Hulk. So that's basically it. People praise Cate Blanchett. If you're a Cate Blanchett fan, you're gonna like this movie because it's Cate Blanchett, so you're gonna like it, whether she did a good job or not. I didn't think she did a particularly good job. She just basically smiled most of the time and talked in a deep voice. That's basically it, and pulled back her hair. But people seem to see much more to her. What I would say is the corrector Hela has a nice backstory. That there's like something that was hidden in Asgard about its past. That's what I like. But to say that the actress did a phenomenal job, I didn't think so. And I didn't think the other actress who played Valkyrie did a phenomenal job either. But it is what it is. It's not much dimension to the characters except for their backstory. The backstory has more dimension than them, quite frankly. So I hope that is a fair enough assessment and breakdown of this movie. I try to give this movie a fair shake. I don't like these kinds of movies. This is why I don't watch comic book movies. Most of the Marvel comic book movies, to me, are just not inspired to watch them. I don't feel intrigued to watch them, and this one's no different. Found Ant-Man was a good movie. I liked Ant-Man. Let me just make it abundantly clear. I actually enjoyed quite a lot Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Didn't enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, that much. But the second one I did. And what else? Captain America the First Avenger is my favorite Marvel movie of all time. It is my favorite. I like it more than The Winter Soldier. Because The Winter Soldier, and yes, the stakes in that movie were pretty tough. I mean, people were dying and stuff in that movie. So I enjoyed it for that. But when it comes to the overall story, I thought it was somewhat... It had nice twists and everything, but I thought... And there was some nice moments in it. But I still always forget the story. It's not that memorable to me. My favorite comic book movie of all time is Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition. It's better than Watchmen. It's better than Unbreakable. And Unbreakable is a damn good movie. So, in terms of comic book movies, Batman 1989 is good. That's a movie where I thought, again, the stakes are high. People are dying in that movie. But yet it has humor. It has adventure. You see, I go back to Conan the Barbarian a lot because this movie didn't have as much humor. It had some humor in it. It was an adventure movie, kind of like Indiana Jones, but it was much more bloodier. There was huge stakes. And it was a series of Conan movies. I know Schwarzenegger, and he only did one-liners. But the movie itself is a movie you can buy into, you can believe, you can go into that time. That's the kind of thing I like. This stuff, I don't. This reminds me of a sitcom. This is like Thor Ragnarok, the sitcom. Ragnarok had no freaking stakes to it. The destruction of Asgard had no stakes to it. Nobody died. It wasn't genocide. It wasn't a whole bunch of people dying. They just came off of Asgard and went somewhere else. And they still have Asgard. So Asgard didn't Ragnarok because the people make Asgard. So I don't really like this movie. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm giving you the reasons for it. It's not just a blind don't like. Marvel films for me don't cut it. They don't cut it. Even the first Iron Man movie, I don't particularly like it. I didn't particularly like Robert Downey Jr. Everybody calls Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man. I don't get it, because Iron Man to me is not that. When I read the comics about Iron Man, that's not Robert Downey Jr. But hey, whatever rocks your boat. Will Smith was a better Deadshot than Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man. And y'all again, some of your Marvel fans are going to be on the uproar and be like, oh my gosh, what the nonsense you're talking about? It's because you all up in Marvel. Step away, and now let's talk reason. Let's talk Iron Man from the comics. And then let's talk Robert. I'm not talking about the recent Iron Man from the comics, obviously, because that's been influenced by Robert Downey Jr.'s character. I am talking about before Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man. All right? But again, I can see how it's not. No, actually, let me correct myself. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. When you think of Iron Man, you think of Robert Downey Jr. because Iron Man was always open. He was always flashy. He is always, the only. But I would say still that when you look at Ben Affleck playing Batman, that's freaking Batman. Like, you don't say, oh, that's Ben Affleck playing Batman. No, you don't say that. When you look at the screen, you see Batman. But Robert Downey Jr. is Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Robert Downey Jr. when you see him on the screen. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing Robert Downey Jr. That's how Robert Downey Jr. conducts himself. Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. Whereas, when we talk about Ben Affleck playing Batman, we all know Ben Affleck is nothing like Bruce Wayne. But he transforms into Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck is a light-talking kind of guy. He jokes around, and he stutters a lot. Bruce Wayne doesn't stutter a lot. Robert Downey Jr. is a fast-talking kind of guy, and he likes to talk a lot, and he's full of himself. That's Iron Man. That's Tony Stark. Ben Affleck is nothing. He's kind of like Bruce Wayne, but he's very much nothing like Bruce Wayne. He's very much nothing like Batman. But yet Ben Affleck pulls it off so that you don't see Ben Affleck. You only see Bruce Wayne and Batman. I agree. Gal Gadot is probably Gal Gadot when she's playing Diana in Wonder Woman. That's a lot of... Well, Gal Gadot's a lot more goofy, though. I hear she laughs a lot. She laughs at everything. And Diana's a lot more serious. But there's a lot of Gal in there. So that's why I understand when people say, oh, Gal's not really acting. She's not a great actor and all of that. I get where John Campea is coming from because basically the essence of what Diana is, Gal is that. She's naturally by default that. But when you talk about Michelle Pfeiffer playing Catwoman, Michael Keaton playing Batman, you don't see Michael Keaton. And we've seen Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is a clown. Michael Keaton likes to joke around. Michael Keaton likes to make a buck. Bruce Wayne was different to Michael Keaton. Catwoman is different to Michelle Pfeiffer. And Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne is what you saw on the screen. You didn't see Michael Keaton. You didn't see Michelle Pfeiffer. There are actors who transcend who they are to embody the characters they act. Danny DeVito was the Penguin, but in that movie, the Penguin was a little bit warped. It wasn't really the Penguin that we were watching. It was a warped version of the Penguin by Tim Burton. Nonetheless, he sold that warped version of the Penguin that Tim Burton had. The storyline. It wasn't Danny DeVito you were looking at. It was more of a warped version of the Penguin, right? But I won't call that. He became iconic, but he's not the Penguin we see in the comics. Let's just be straight. Catwoman, on the other hand, was Catwoman we saw in the comics. Batman was Batman we saw in the comics. All right? Nobody else has played Batman and embodied the character like Michael Keaton, like Ben Affleck. Nobody else has embodied Catwoman like Michelle Pfeiffer. Nobody. Nobody has embodied Superman like Christopher Reeve has embodied Superman. Okay? Now, Christopher Reeve is an actor who has played in other things, but Christopher Reeve embodied Superman. And maybe in Justice League we will see that embodiment of Superman in a better way by the English actor whose name just slips me right now. Please help me remember the name. So Henry Cavill, there you go. I totally blanked out there. So at the end of the day, while I buy into Henry Cavill's Superman a lot more, and I feel he embodies Superman a lot more than Christopher Reeve does, we still haven't seen the Superman that most people know. So I will not go there. My point anyway is this. When it comes to acting, Hollywood has a way of Hollywooding everything. And even though Watiki, I think is his name, he was an independent director, small budget, I feel like the execs and the powers that be at Marvel had a lot of say in how this movie was dumbed down. And my fear for this movie is the same fear I have for Justice League, that they would dumb down Justice League, dumb down Zack Snyder's vision of the movie, and, give a compromised Hollywood cookie-cutter, candy-cut version to people, a soft-core version to people, that does not do the film justice. And I think Warner Brothers is going down that route, like Marvel, of this sort of one-dimensional, formulaic way of giving film. And Marvel has just a formula way of doing films. Joke, to try and break tension, get people involved, and go a little deeper, but not too deep. And if there's any cost, we'll try and milk it. Somebody dies, we'll milk that. But pretty much at the end of the movie, you get one or two morsels of something, but it's mostly about escapism and making people laugh because the world's so stressed out. And people don't let people face their problems in the movie theater. No. We have to escape the problems. Give them sugar-coated candy and not nutritive food. And Patty Jenkins said no, and she fought the executives on the No Man's Land scene. And she fought to have certain things included in the movie. Poor Zack Snyder, he's been victim time and time again to the dilution of his movies, the chopping of his movies, and the destruction of his visions. They won't allow him to have his 3-hour-long cuts. They wouldn't allow him to give his masterpieces and do it the way he wants to do it. And I really couldn't care the fuggy less what critics' backlash would be to his movies. I think his nutritive value of his films outweighs the bullshit we see in Hollywood today. And Thor Ragnarok is just another example of Hollywood applauding bullshit. We had the Wonder Woman origin film, so-called origin film of Wonder Woman, the background by Sony, another bullshit movie, which, again, the critics in Hollywood applaud. Oh yeah, great movie. Kate Blanchett, she's a woman, and she's playing a villain, the first woman villain or whatever. And because she's a big dog in Hollywood, and she's doing the right things and going down the right channel and having favor with people, they give her a puff piece editorial, according to Batman. Puff piece editorial by the Daily Planet about a guy saving a cat in a tree. I get it. It's bullshit. It's politics. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, here they are coming to town on Justice League. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say. I may actually tear into Justice League as well. So you never know. You never know, because I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. When I went and watched Justice League, when I was watching the trailers, they did an intro for Cyborg where, for the first time, we have a black actor on the screen, and they weren't doing rap music. Even Pig Panther has this rap music jingle, and some of it's really cheesy, to be honest with you. We here now, oh we here now. I'm like, what the I want to cuss, but so some of it's really cheesy. But why do they always have that black jingles? So here we are. We get a trailer with Justice League. It's sounding really good and everything. And somebody makes a comment in the comment section, man, at least they haven't messed it up by having a black actor who they don't have no black jingle. Well, 2-3 trailers after, they come out with a black jingle. Yeah, they come out with black music, rap music. And I'm like, why do you have to be stereotypical? Why do you have to be such an ass? Why do you have to follow what Marvel's doing? Why do you have to follow what everybody generically is doing? And I get the feeling they're trying to capture a certain demographic, but that's stupid. Be yourself. Have your own damn identity, Warner Brothers. Get some spine. When I heard that When I heard that this Japanese dude who's an exec at Warner Brothers was saying it has to be 2 hours long, I was like, man, slap this fool. Slap this fool. If it was James Cameron, it was like, it's going to be 3 hours long. Suck it. That's what you got to do. You got to tell these guys, suck it. You know what I'm saying? Zack Snyder doesn't have that kind of mentality where he Patty Jenkins vehemently defended No Man Land scene. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it because of these stupid execs. Chop that scene out. It doesn't have any relevance to the movie. Get your damn paws out of the movie. Get your damn paws. You had a director. Yes, you're paying the director to do the movie, but you can't direct a damn movie. So don't do it. And don't tell people what to do. And these are the things that really annoy me, man. That's why I like James Cameron. As much as he's opinionated and sometimes he says some really... You gotta be sometimes a dickhead at a certain point in time and tell these guys, suck it. I'm not cutting down squat. You know what I'm saying? And Patty Jenkins stood up to them, and she was probably had all the, massage and everything, but she was like, nah, this is too important in the movie. I'm not cutting this out. And she just put her foot down. I love that. She was fierce. That's what you gotta be. You gotta be with these clowns. You know what I'm saying? You put in all those effort, all that time to make this movie right, and they want to just come and sweep it with a sweeping brush, just destroy it. Even with Zack Snyder's daughter had to die. I don't even know if these execs had something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, of somebody pulling pranks or just putting the pressure up on his daughter. But at the end of the day, Zack Snyder, man, you got to stand up for yourself. You can't have these guys punking you at every turn. If Justice League comes out, look, I'm going to go watch the movie once. I'm going to watch it before everybody else watches it. When the big crowds come. And I'm telling you guys, I'm going to be honest with you. If it's a hot pile of shit, I'm going to tell you. Okay? Or if it's a movie I just don't take to. And believe you me, I'm not going to watch no more DCEU movies if that movie is crap. I'm letting you know because I'm still optimistic for it. I'm very excited for the movie. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't come in to watch comic book. You're not going to dupe me into watching a comic book movie I don't want to watch. All right, and if the only saving grace in Justice League is the characters, guess what? It's a forgettable movie like Suicide Squad. They went the Suicide Squad route again after David Ayer took his time and really fought to make a movie. I'm starting to buy the rhetoric, and then these stupid execs come in and try and change up everything. You need to change this up, and you need to change that up. We making a movie for Warner Brothers. We get it, but you got to let the directors do their thing. And let them live and die by what they do. But it's not just about good critical ratings. It's about content. All right? They went and chopped up Batman v Superman. When we see Zack Snyder's full vision, it's much smoother. And I just feel like these people are hiring directors to do movies for them, but really they just want to get a formula where they can get $1 billion or whatever. And this is where they mess up. You go trying to please everybody so you can get the most money instead of trying to form your own identity. You have no spine. So you don't have an identity. You're trying to please everybody. Warner Brothers. You got to form your identity, and then people get used to your identity and they buy into it. So that's my take on it. I know they're gonna lose me. I think the DC is gonna lose me, man. If what Justice League is crap, they're gonna lose me. Because I ain't going to no damn cinema to watch no Thor Ragnarok anymore. Oh, I gotta go. I may have to go with my brother, but I ain't gonna watch that. Hell no, that ain't my time. That ain't worth my time. You know what I'm saying? I go to the cinema to see things which will help me in my daily life. I like confronting my problems. I don't like escaping them. Alright? And for all these highly intelligent people who want to just run the route of business as usual and have the same old movies and superheroes we can't take seriously because we don't want to go looking into the lore. We don't want to see why this lore stays so long and take the virtues out of these heroes and apply it to ourselves. Then I don't need to go into no damn cinema. and waste my time. Wonder Woman had a profound impact on people. Batman v Superman had a profound impact on people. Some people were ready to commit suicide. And Batman v Superman let them think over their lives. Some people had cancer, and it helped them to cope with their situation. What's Thor Ragnarok going to do for anybody? What? Maybe it'll help a couple kids. Who knows? But for me, it did nothing. I leave the cinema the same way as I came. There's no transformative nothing. And it's not just about having a feel-good movie to see people conquer and win. That's not good enough. Otherwise, you can make 1,000 of those things, and people can make a bunch of money. You always have to be saying something. And I don't get that in these movies. I get entertainment, but it's empty. I get candy, it's sweet, it tastes good, but it's forgettable. You guys have a great one.